We're in the studio here at Hot 96. Jeff and Jalas on Hot 96 in the morning. Hottest breakfast in town. Joining us, the dynamic duo, the dual senators.
The lucky two.
Senator Mutula Kilonzo Jr. and Senator Johnson Sakaja.
Yes.
Telling it
Not
like...
senator.
Senator Jalas kubali matokeo.
Senator bado iko hapa mbele. Is senator elect.
He's not candidate president, but I mean...
Gentlemen, food prices. Food prices.
Unga.
Thank you.
Watu wanaumia bwana.
And Sakaja, you guys are the ones who were saying yes. 3 weeks ago, unga prices are going to plummet. They're going to come down to under
15.
Oh hell, just over 100.
You know,
Nakuru sahi 152.
Nakuru, Kisumu
150, Mombasa 147, Kakamega 170.
let me say this, because
Makueni had labda ni 200.
yeah, you guys probably went to 50. So it's a terrible. First of all, it's a terrible situation.
Yeah.
Is it a situation that we saw coming? You know, I hope it is. And the action that government had taken before showed that actually government was prepared for it. If you look at the Food and Agriculture Organization, FAO, February 2017 report, which I'll share with you, they highlight a number of countries within the region because of the drought that are going to inevitably suffer because of this. But all the preparations that government then did, I'm talking about 6 months ago, 5 months ago, talking about strategic grain reserve. Remember, there was the issue of aflatoxin coming in, and people are trying to play games. Show that something went terribly wrong. Government subsidized millers heavily. Gave them, I think, close to 1 million bags for this period for them to mill and have low-cost unga at the till. It has never translated to the till. There's all this shipment during the reading of the budget and now subsequent finance bill that reduces the taxes, actually just waives tax on importation of maize. Because of the shortage, we don't have enough. We need 40 million bags of maize in this country. Incidentally, the calculation normally is that one individual uses 1 bag of maize a year. Of course, it's not direct. You may not eat ugali, but anything else you're eating, whether it is chicken because of the chicken feed and whatnot, there's a correlation. So 40 million bags of maize, and the shortfall is amazing because of the drought. It's terrible. So what we're saying is this. In this value chain, or even supply chain, from the producers, because production was heavily subsidized, whether it is fertilizer, etc., to the consumer, to the table, that chain has a big problem. And that's what must be sorted out. It's a terrible situation. I know we've gone back to Parliament to put extra measures that might take some time. I know the shipments will probably be here in another 1 or 2 weeks to the country. But beyond that, you know, this pursuit of profit without any sense of human dignity, for me, is immoral. That millers can be subsidized by government, you know, to actually make sure these things come down, but it never translates. They say, okay, the old stock is still there. You know, that the old story that they always give us. I think it's immoral.
Senator Mutula, this sounds like the government line, you know, the typical government line.
Government hasn't accepted
You're
it.
passing the buck. You're passing the buck.
It's the usual laptop PR that they have been doing. On June 1st, they're going to ride the SGR into Nairobi. And I've always asked the question, how does this translate to the common man, Mudeu, Mama Wanjiko, pocket? And you can see the questions. The
SGR
is. I was just giving you
I'm sure Sakaja has an answer for that.
Yeah, but I'm simply saying that everything must have a correlation. Whatever you're doing must translate into the bottom of the pyramid. Means that somebody wants to see, so what? You're going to launch this big thing. So what? You have done many roads. So what? How has that translated into my pocket? The fact is that a government that cannot have food security is a failed government. And I can repeat that. Because without food security, you have insecurity in itself. That's why the insecurity has gone up. People don't have food. Even in the 150, now I learned that even in the 150, it's possible that you won't get the unga. The supermarkets are now rationing the unga. We are about to be told, please give us your menu so that we know how many children you have, how many packets of unga you can get per family. Chief, it's a tragedy that I heard the president saying that this matter is going to Parliament. What is Parliament going to do? What is the National Assembly sitting yesterday and today? And I never had the debate yesterday.
Let me tell you what Parliament
under the
does.
standing orders, you have something called a matter of national discussion. You suspend debate. Everything is suspended so that you can tell Kenyans that there's something we can cushion you with. What exactly are they going to do? If we can regulate the price of fuel, Jeff, ERC, how is it that we can subject the common man to fluctuating prices to the extent? And ask yourself, that fellow who walks from Kibera every day to industrial area, if you go on Bagathi Road today, you might think it's a migration of human beings to and from Nairobi. How much money is that fellow earning?
Sakaja.
First of all, just get me clear. I'm saying there's a problem. I accept there's a huge problem. And in fact, one of the things that Parliament is doing, because Parliament is not an implementing agency, Parliament plays oversight, is we've called the Minister of Agriculture, the Minister of Water, and all the people and said, when did you know that this problem is going to be there? For instance, I have that FAO report of February 2017. There's what was done earlier. What have you done, and why has it not worked? Kenyans must be told. Kenyans must hear that, because I know government has been trying and doing that. Now, once we know where the gap is, then we can legislate as a National Assembly to fill that gap. If it means introducing a form of ERC, when it comes to some of these basic commodities, despite the fact that we're a free market economy, then we might need to do that. It might be necessary. But secondly, Parliament appropriates. Parliament gives effect to the budget speech. When the President says that the taxes must be lowered, then it has to come through what we call the finance bill. The finance bill is already being debated in Parliament. Another action, we're bringing a supplementary budget, because something even which I propose is this. Already there are some stocks available with the millers. For us to bring the price from 150 to a certain amount for that quantity, might need just a pure direct injection of cash subsidizing at the point of consumption. And that is what we are pushing. As legislators, I'm not even talking on behalf of government. As legislators, that is what I am pushing to be done in the meantime, before these huge stocks that are in the high seas somewhere, and I hope they don't get diverted to Tanzania or wherever else, come into Nairobi.
In the meantime, what do people do?
That's what I keep asking. While
As you wait for the
you're contemplating for the bill, as you're contemplating for a ship called MV something on high seas to get to Mombasa and meet Governor 001 there to be sorted out to arrive to Nairobi.
Dangerous again.
This is the problem. But Jeff, let me tell you what the problem is with this country. And I'm part and parcel of something called a disaster risk reduction management team. Since 1963, this country doesn't have a disaster risk management program. We have no policy and we have no law, because this is part of disaster risk reduction. When you anticipate famine, and that is what Sakaja is saying. He has a report on his phone about either impending famine that he has in his document.
FAO
report.
The UN.
The national government, through its agencies, should have this report or any other report from the meteorological department or from any other department that would tell them that by the time Rotich comes to the National Assembly to read the budget, the mitigation measures must be in that statement, or the budgetary policy statement, to show that the government is planning, to appear as if the price of food or drought or disaster, and it's not an act of God, has come to us as a surprise. It's something that suggests that there's somebody, either the ministry or whatever ministry that is concerned, that has failed in its duties. Somebody should have warned national government of this disaster and this problem.
One of the things, and I must make it clear, we know as Parliament that government had been putting in interventions months ago. What we are asking is why those interventions have not been felt at the till.
Yes.
There have been numerous meetings, there are subcommittees between Treasury and Ministry of Agriculture and the Millers Association, Cereals Millers Association. They've been sitting together. They've received injection of cash. In fact, if I was today in charge, I'd put some of these guys behind bars. Because I can't give you cash and give you seeds and you fail to translate. That's a breach of contract.
It's a fact.
And probably somebody made a mistake and didn't even put it in contract. And that's a problem. But the other thing we also must discuss as a country, of course, we're moving towards, our reliance on rain-fed agriculture is too much. And we need to support all these efforts to irrigate. You Galana Kulalu is taking a bit too long. But, of course, they're doing research. We have had issues with our soil. We are exhausting our soil. There are places where you've planted the same crop for more than 50, 60 years on the same piece of land. But in this country, you might have a surplus of potatoes, a surplus of peas, a surplus of fish.
And even cassava.
But so as long as there's no maize, there's famine.
Yeah.